Good morning from Oklahoma. I'm Dave Deken with a look at what's happening in agriculture and rural life across our great state in this episode of Red Dirt and Round Bales. Some years, the wheat crop tells the story before anyone says a word. You see it in the color of the field. You hear it at the elevator. You almost feel it in the little pause before a farmer says, well, it's been a year. And Oklahoma's 2026 wheat crop? Well, it's been one of those years. Dry when it needed a rain, wet when it needed sunshine, early before anybody was quite ready. Across western Oklahoma, the crop came up against a hard truth. After planting, well, there just wasn't much moisture. The wheat held on, because that's what wheat does. But by the time harvest rolled around, the crop was stressed, hurried, and ahead of schedule. And one of the folks who's seen that stress across the state's wheat crop, it's the Oklahoma Wheat Commission's Executive Director, Mike Schulte.
Well, our producers really every year have to figure out how they're going to face new challenges that are presented to them. But this has really been a challenging year from the standpoint that after planting season, we really just did not have any moisture in the western region of the state right up until the crop harvest started to begin. And so we started getting rain really about a week or two in some places before harvest began. But the crop was really way ahead of schedule compared to normal.
If you farm in Oklahoma, well, it's nothing new. The calendar may say one thing, but I think we all know that the sky, it's the one that makes the final vote. In a normal year, if there is such a thing, wheat harvest has a rhythm. It starts down south near the Red River, and it moves north. And many times there are still combines running around the 4th of July. But this year, especially in southwest Oklahoma, fields were ready 2 to 3 weeks early. And early, well, it doesn't always mean easy in our state. Sometimes it means the crop ran out of moisture, and it did the only thing that it could do: finish. Then, right about harvest time, the rain finally came. Not the rain you pray for in February. It's the kind that shows up when the combines are ready. It's just, it turns the field roads soft. Still, in true Oklahoma wheat farmer fashion, it just kept moving.
Many instances, we were ready to cut 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule in southwest Oklahoma. That doesn't mean then that we didn't get hindered at different times by different rains in that part of the state and central Oklahoma. But still, we're at June 22nd today. And I would say, typically we're still cutting in most years, a lot of times on the 4th of July. And we're going to be complete with harvest, probably pretty close by the end of this week, we hope. So really the one thing that I think that's really hurting us right now is just the yield capability.
Yield capability. That's a plain phrase. But I think we all know what that truly means. Because the yield is not just a number on a report. It's fuel. It's seed. It's land rent, it's a banknote, and it's the difference between getting ahead and just getting through. And drought has a quiet way of taking yield. A little less growth in this corner of the field, a shorter head across all the plants, a little less grain in the bin than a producer hoped for. But wheat has more than one story. Yeah, there is yield, but there's also quality. There's protein. There's demand, and there's a larger world where wheat is still one of the most basic, affordable sources of food on the table. And that's where Mike sees an opening.
So really the one thing that I think that's really hurting us right now is just the yield capability. But I do think that it does have our millers interested for sourcing. And certainly, globally, if you're looking at global stocks, we are going to have large crops in Russia, and Ukraine and Turkey regions, probably that are going to outweigh some of the regions where we've had losses in Pakistan and the United States, as well as Australia. But one thing I think that producers do need to be looking at is the production consumption numbers. And so production was outpacing consumption by 20 million metric tons last year at this time. And right now trends are showing us that those numbers are shifting. And so that that consumption is outpacing production by about 5 million metric tons. So I think one thing that we are seeing is that people are interested. We are seeing more movement of grain right now just because of some of the financial situations that consumers are having to look at worldwide. So it does provide a great source of calories at a cheaper price than some of the other options that are out there on the dinner plate. And so I think we are going to have a really good opportunity to market this crop this coming year.
Now, here's where the story widens out. Oklahoma wheat is local when it's planted. It's local when it's cut. It's local when it's hauled into town. But the market, that's global. A wheat crop in Russia matters. So does one in Ukraine, Turkey, Pakistan, Australia, and right here in the southern Great Plains. And somewhere far from the field, a family is still buying flour, bread, noodles, and the kind of food that stretches $1. That's why this crop still matters. It may not be the crop Oklahoma producers hoped for. The yield, well, I think it's safe to say it took a hit. The weather may have tested everybody's patience, but there is still value in it. Still demand for it. Still a place for it in the world. And maybe that's the best way to understand wheat in Oklahoma. It grows close to the ground. It bends with the wind. It waits through winter. And when the time comes, it gives it what it can. A little like the people that grow it. The 2026 Oklahoma wheat crop may be remembered as a drought crop. It may be remembered as an early crop. It may be remembered for the muddy fields at the finish line. But it also tells an older story. We all know that the land can humble you. The marketplace can surprise you. And the people, well, the people keep going. That's what we Okies do. To learn more about the 2026 Oklahoma wheat crop and to see the final crop update from the Oklahoma Wheat Commission, visit reddirtandroundbales.com. I'm Dave Deken, and we'll talk with you next time when we take another look at rural life and agriculture in Oklahoma on Red Dirt and Round Bales.